family, Lili Nishmas Basi Bas Rabbi Shlomo ben Avram Alevi Perel Bas Ruvain, Lili Nishmas Avram Yishaya ben Shimon Yosef Fushalem for Yomis ben Chayesara, and the Schus Avram ben Yom Benish ben Malk Yudis and family, by Yo Klugman and family, the Fushalem for Avigdor Aya ben Rivka, Hayelad ben Chava, and Meir ben Chayesara. Before we begin, just a very quick comment about Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is a very big thing for Jews, but it has nothing to do with a turkey, and it has nothing to do with today. We're called Yehudim because we're people that give thanks. We know after Magen Avram, the bracha of Moedim is the most important bracha of Shemona Esrei. Moedim is Gematria 100, because we give 100 blessings every day. In a very real way, the Rebbeinu Shalom tells us, Amzu Yitzarti Li, I created this nation for me, Tilasi Yisaperu, to relate my praise. A very big part of being a Jew is how we make our brachas and how thankful we are. The title of a Kafui Tova is a very terrible thing. And it's a very big part of the measure of a man that they have proper gratitude. The Chinuch says that the bedrock of Kibbud of Aim is Hakaras HaTov. The idea that we come to shul and we say thank you. We say a sweeping bracha Al Kulam for everything. Yisparach v'Yisroimam, Yisnasei Shimcha Malkeinu Tamid Lo'ilam V'ed, V'chol HaChayim Yaducha Sela. The big shaila what V'chol HaChayim means. What does it mean V'chol HaChayim? There's a sign in the subway that says there's 1 million atheists. What does it mean V'chol HaChayim Yaducha Sela? So some say that the meaning is, it's interesting, but in certain Pirushim on the Siddur, it says, V'chol HaChayim means, and for all of our life. V'chol HaChayim Yeducha Sela, for all of our life. That's not the Pashut Pshat. The Pashut Pshat is that it means all those that are considered alive. V'sham afilu b'chayim kriyim meis. But V'chol HaChayim, all those that are considered alive, that's the way they learn Pshat and benching also, when it says Yizbar Shimcha B'fi Kol Chai. It's not true. There are a lot of people that are not Yizbarach Shimcha. But B'fi Kol Chai. Those that are considered alive. So, we're very thankful. Every day I get up here and I always tell you how thankful I am that you're part of the minyan. And I mean that sincerely. What a beautiful minyan it is. Ramila says that we should be very thankful that we can breathe. So it says, Kal neshama ta'al ka, al kol neshima ta'al ka. The whole bracha of Asher Yatzar, when we thank Hashem, Shem yafaseach echad mehem. If something opens and we hemorrhage chas v'shalom, or yisasem, or if there's a cyst or a tumor, yefshel it's all our being thankful. We start finishing the 8th parak of Yevamos and starting the 9th parak. Moving along, Rabbi say, with the 6th Mishna in the 8th parak. Sris Chama a kohen that was born sterile, Shenasa Bas Yisrael, she's allowed to marry him. Only a Psuadaka, Krushavka, only if he's injured. But if he was born that way, she's allowed to marry him, and therefore, since he's a kohen, Machila Batruma. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shimon Aimim, androgynous kohen Shenasa Bas Yisrael, we hold that an androgynous, who has both Simone Zachar and Simone Nekeva, the genitals of a male and a female, has a din of a man. Therefore, he could marry a woman. So, androgynous kohen Shenasa Bas Yisrael, it's a valid marriage, and therefore, Machila Batruma. He allows her to eat truma. Rabbi Yehuda Omer tumtum shenikra v'nimtza zachar. A tumtum, that means that the genitals were covered over by a skin. And they tore open the skin, and they found that he's a Zachar. Now, Rabbi Kiva Eger says that he's considered a Sris Chama. Since he was born a Tumtum, he wasn't eligible to have a child from birth, so he never had a Shas HaKosher. So, such a person, a Sris Chama who never had a Shas HaKosher, Rabbi Kiva says, Lo Yachaloitz, Mibnei Shu Kesaris, because he's like Kesaris that never had a Shas HaKosher. Androgynous noise, like I told you that androgynous has a din of a man, even though he had the genitals of a woman too, he has a din of a man, and therefore he could marry a woman. Avalo Nisa, but he cannot get married. He cannot marry another man. He cannot be married to a man because that's Mishkav Zachar. And the Tanakama holds that if he sleeps with a man, even if the man sleeps with his female genital, it's considered Mishkav Zachar and it's Skila. Rabbi Eliezer says the only time the man who sleeps with the androgynous will get skila is only if he sleeps with his zakras. But if he sleeps with his nekeva genitals, then there's no skila. Rabbi Eliezer, androgynous chayom lo skila only kazachar. Only he sleeps with him like sleeping with another man with his male genitals. But if he sleeps with his female's genitalia, there would be no skila. And now we start the 9th parak of Yevamos. So, where Reuven is married to Sarah and Reuven dies childless and Sarah falls to Shimon, sometimes Sarah is permitted to Reuven but forbidden to Shimon. Sometimes Sarah is forbidden to Reuven but permitted to Shimon. Sometimes, like in a normal case, she's permitted to both. And sometimes she's forbidden to both. And that's going to be the subject matter of our Mishnah, of our parak. Yesh mutaris l'baleim. Sometimes Sarah is mutter to her husband Reuven, v'asuris liyavmeim, but forbidden to her brother-in-law. Sometimes mutaris liyavmeim, she's permitted to her brother-in-law, v'asuris l'baleim, but she was forbidden to her husband. Sometimes, in a normal case, mutaris l'elu v'le'elu, she's permitted to both Reuven and Shimon. And sometimes v'asuris l'elu v'le'elu, she's forbidden to Reuven and to Shimon. Now we start off and the following are mutter to their husbands, but forbidden to the brother-in-law. So Sarah was permitted to her husband, but forbidden to Shimon. For example, Kayin Hedyot, Reuven was a Kayin Hedyot, Shenasa Salman, who married a widow. He's allowed to marry a widow. But V'yesh lo yach Kayin Gadol. But when Reuven dies, Sarah falls to Shimon, who's a Kayin Gadol. Kayin Gadol is not allowed to marry a widow. Now, by the way, it could have also said a Kohen Gadol that marries a regular person. I mean, a Kohen Hedyot that marries a regular woman who wasn't a widow, and then he dies. Now she becomes a widow, but wants to give a case where, as a widow, she was permitted to her husband and forbidden to the brother-in-law. So that would be a case where Reuven married Sarah, who was already a widow. He's permitted to her. But now, when Reuven dies and Shimon is a Kohen Gadol, she's forbidden to him. So that's a case of mutaris l'baleim v'asuris liyavmeim. So that's Kohen Hedyot shenasa salman v'yesh Kohen Gadol. Or chalol shenasa ksheira. Reuven was a chalol. He was a product of a divorcee that married a Kohen. So he's a chalol. They married a ksheira. Now lo yhuzaru ksheris milinase l'psulin. So she was allowed to marry him. But when she marries him, she is nischalal. And now, when he dies, the Kohen, his brother, cannot marry her because he's not allowed to marry a chalala. V'yesh lo yach kosher. He's not allowed to marry a chalala. Yisrael shenas bas Yisrael. Let's say Sarah, who was a bas Yisrael, married a regular Yisrael. V'yesh lo yach mamzer. But Shimon is a mamzer. She's not, as a bas Yisrael, she's not allowed to be abim a mamzer. So again, that's mutter l'baleim v'asal yavmeim. Or the opposite case. Mamzer shenas a mamzeres. Sarah was a mamzeres and Reuven was a mamzer. They're allowed to be married. But v'yesh lo yach Yisrael. But Shimon is a regular Yisrael, so he's not allowed to marry her. All of these cases, mutarais l'baleim, she's mutter to her husband, but v'asuras liyavmeim, but she's forbidden to her brother-in-law. I did the recording now because tonight I have Sheva Brachas, my Shver is making Sheva brachas, so I'm going to dash out right after the daf. Those that are daven marav later, daven marav later. Don't daven marav now. That would be at least 6 isurim, right, at least 6 isurim. So second marav at 7:45.